Hello everyone and welcome to our today's video. Today we will be talking about organizational change management, which is a very important capability competency in an organization to make sure that they can stay relevant, current, and they can successfully introduce changes from time to time to make sure that the organization can keep delivering value. Now, the first thing that we want to understand here is the part where we see people getting confused between change management, which is done within the project, versus the organizational change management. So let's put it in this way that there is a change that your project is going to bring. And there are changes happening in the project. When I say changes happening in the project, I mean something related to scope is getting modified, or budget changes, schedule changes are happening within the organization, within the project. Now, these are not the type of changes we are discussing here, but our focus is on understanding what type of change your project is going to bring, because every project is a vehicle of change. Every project delivers some kind of products, services, or results that ultimately are trying to bring a change in any environment. So before we get to a point where we are ready to start the project, we have to think about this, that what is the degree of change our project is going to bring, and is it really going to be successful? Can we expect, or do we have the confidence that our impacted users or affected stakeholders, will they be able to adapt and adopt to the change that we are going to introduce with the project? If yes, it makes sense to move forward. But if not, then maybe we are not ready for this change right now, and there is no point of continuing or going forward with this project. Now, say for example, there is an organization who's working on resolving customer complaints or handling the customer requests via emails, phone calls, and they do all their tracking through Excel spreadsheets, Google Sheets, etc. In such example, if the organization wants to introduce a customer support software like maybe Zendesk or ServiceNow, then that project is going to introduce a big change in the ways of working, in how the team members or the users will interact, and how they will be processing these requests or complaints going forward. So we have to be sure about the fact that we will be able to successfully introduce this change in the given environment. Now, in this respect, generally, there is a golden circle concept which revolves around the main three things. Why are we introducing, why is in why we are um, uh, going to introduce this change, or what is the core objective, what is the core mission that we are trying to um, achieve. So you can say that this why helps to create a strong narrative that can inspire and motivate everyone to um, accept and embrace the change as they move forward. Then comes the second question of how. This is where we talk about the various action plans, processes, strategies, methodologies that we will use to implement the change over a period of time. And then comes the third question, what? This is the tangible result that we are expecting from the change. This is where we talk about what type of products, services, outcomes will be delivered, what processes will get impacted, what teams will be impacted, what products will be impacted, and how they are going to get modified going forward. So, one is making sure that we are clear on these why, how, and what, the golden circle. And the second is Adker model given by Prosky. So, this is a structured approach that we can use to introduce the change whenever we have to. Adker stands for awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. See, whenever we have to introduce a change, as in the project is almost ready to be shipped, the outputs are there, and now we have to implement and make it operational. Now, that's where we have to make sure that this change is introduced in a structured manner, starting with awareness. So, this is where once again you can focus on why, how, what that we were just talking about, and make sure that everyone is well aware of the fact that why we are introducing this change, how it will be introduced, and what areas will be impacted. So, make sure everyone is well aware. After that, check for desire. So this is where you want to assess how many people support this change, how many people resist this change. Naturally, there will be some individuals or teams who will resist the change. Now they can have a compelling, strong reason why they are resisting the change, and it will be, of course, beneficial if we can hear them, we can understand their concerns and address them. If we can do that, then obviously we will be able to convert them into the supporters. However, yes, there will be certain cases where there will be people who, no matter how hard you try, they won't be ready to change, or they are not ready to support this change. Then of course it's ultimately, as they say, that either you change or we will change you, as in replace them. But don't let any resistors breed the resistance. Don't alienate the resistors. Understand why they are resisting and try to resolve that problem. Then comes the third step, where you want to make them knowledgeable, put them through some trainings, get them to a point where they can learn and get the desired knowledge to be able to successfully go with that change, or do the uh, things in the new ways of working as your project is going to determine. Now, generally, when you put someone through some trainings or coaching, they will not have they will not be able to develop the abilities or capabilities immediately. So this is where the fourth step comes into picture, that we also have to go and assess if they are able, if they are capable to handle the new change, they are able to adapt and adopt to the new ways of working that you have introduced. If yes, well and good. If not, then you might go back to put them into some other training sessions. You design more effective ways of training them, and then you check their ability again. And finally, we have the last step, which is very, very important, that is to reinforce. Many a times we have seen that changes were introduced successfully, but over a period of time, people tend to revert to the old ways of working, because humans are naturally creatures of habits, and change doesn't come to us easily. It takes a lot of effort, willpower to introduce a change and then sustain it. So that's what the last step is about, that you have to continuously reinforce the changed methods, ways of working, or products, because it's very much possible that people might revert to the old ways of working. So you do regular follow-ups, you put some rewards, recognitions, you keep motivating the teams, you keep checking with them. If they are facing some challenges, then you continuously provide support to them so that they keep using the new changed methods or products that you have introduced. And you have to keep reinforcing until it becomes the new normal. So when it comes to running a project, the organizational change management is also a very, very important component that we have to keep in mind, because if this is neglected, if we don't think about this aspect, then most likely, even if your project was executed beautifully and everything was done properly, the chances are that you will not get the benefits that we have outlined previously, because no one goes and uses those outputs that your project has produced. People do not adapt and adopt, then of course you're not going to get any returns. So that's why, even though this is not something which project managers have to be, you can say this is not their core competency, but of course it is something that we have to think from a project management space, that how easy or difficult it is going to introduce the change in the organization. And sometimes, just because certain changes are too difficult, or we don't think that the teams have the right maturity level to introduce this type of change, we might even not want to take a project, just because it's not feasible to introduce this kind of a change in the given environment. I hope you got some good understanding about organizational change management. Thank you for watching the video. Stay tuned. We'll be coming up with more videos in few days. Thank you.